So I'm going to go ahead and I'll finish my thought after we're done. But I'm going to introduce Evan Patzer. He's on the Soto team, kicking butt. And Evan's my buddy. He's here in Columbus, Ohio. And so I appreciate Evan giving us some time. Evan, dude, hey, man.
Alex, what's going on, brother? Good to see you.
Hey, you
Through
too.
the phone.
You too. I sent out the picture of your beautiful family to our team promoting this call. So what a lovely picture. You and your lovely wife, all pregnant and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the least beautiful of us, but I'll still take the compliment. And I'm just grateful and I'm blessed. It's all God. So
yeah, amen to that. Evan and I, we have just a great connection. I've always, when I first met him, I was always impressed with him. He has this just wonderful personality. He's the kind of guy that you get around and makes you feel good. You know, he's the kind of guy that makes you feel good, and you know, he's just he's a very special person. So I thought about him. I go, man, it'd be great to have him on our call. He's kicking butt with the Soto team, but he's also got a family that he loves and supports, a beautiful wife and kids. And, you know, he's a daddy, he's a producer, top producer. He's, you know, building a team, managing a team. And so, Evan, I got, you know, a bunch of people on here. Why don't you talk about your story, man? How'd you find the Alliance? And tell us about how you got started. Like, we got a bunch of new people on here that are trying to figure this thing out. Like, how did you end up figuring this thing out?
absolutely. And once again, I just gotta thank you, Alex, for it's always an honor to be invited by such a great leader like yourself, the staple of the Alliance, right? You're looking at him, Alex Abuyuan, and one of the most authentic and genuine leaders that I've ever met in my entire life. That's why I love you so much. You're so real, and you have a huge heart, and you're somebody I've always looked up to from the beginning. And I think you're one of the first people I ever met when I got introduced to the Alliance from going to meetings locally. So once again, just thank you for letting me come on and share with the team and allowing me and trusting me to share information with your team. So my name is Evan Patzer. I keep saying when I talk to people as I recruit, I keep saying I'm going on 5 years, but I think I'm actually going on 4 years. I'm actually going on 4 years. So I've been here just a little under 4 years. I started back in December of 2017. So at the very end of 2017, going into 2018. And when I found the Alliance, I was completely broke, disgusted, and busted. And when I say broke, disgusted, and busted, I really mean that. I was living out in Las Vegas in a toxic relationship. I'm sure somebody on this call can relate to me. Somebody's been in a toxic relationship before. And that relationship in itself was really just taking a toll on me. I was maxed out in credit card debt, and I had a nice vehicle. If anybody's ever heard of those Teslas that I was hardly able to afford. And I just wanted a change in my life. I wasn't happy where I was, and I knew I needed to get out of the relationship that I was in, one, because it was tearing me down. But I needed to be a part of a group of people that could bring out the best in me. And so that's when I was introduced to the opportunity through searching online for, you know, jobs or income, like good income earning opportunities, by a buddy of mine named Michael Frederick, who brought me in, and Ed Soto. And I honestly, you know, the only thing that I knew before I got started and actually came to my first event or meeting was that, you know, there was a good way to make money and there was flexible and freedom with my time. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no clue. I didn't know anything about life insurance at all, or really what it entailed. I just knew that the post said, make as much money as you want, work whenever you want. It's like, that sounds good to me. We can teach you how to make six figures your first year. I'm like, sounds good. All right. So fast forward, I got out of the relationship. My mom bought me a one-way ticket back to Columbus, Ohio, where I'm originally from. And I came back with nothing. You know, I didn't even think I had any pennies in my pocket. My dad, thankfully, when I got here, lended me his 2006 Kia Sedona because he was up for a new vehicle. So for a period of time, when I first started, I was driving around in what I called the man van. But nonetheless, I went to my first meeting. I met Andy Albright. I met Alex and Ed Soto for the first time, and a bunch of other great leaders. And I still really didn't even know what I was getting myself into. But what I did know when I went to that meeting was that this was the type of people that I wanted to surround myself with. Because at the end of the day, I mean, how many people do you know that go to work, come home, go to work, come home, and they're miserable? I can't tell you how many people I've met when I go to a checkout at a store, at a gas station. How you doing? They're like, oh, well, it's Monday. Oh, well, I'm at work. It's not what it's like here. You know, we're excited to get up and make our dreams become true. So that's how I got started in the Alliance. That was a little over 3.5 years ago, and we're rolling. So life-changing for me.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, you too.
Hey, Alex, that chair looks pretty comfortable. Where'd you get that?
It is. Actually, it's Jeannie's birthday today, so I had to get some flowers.
Happy birthday. That's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
It is. Hey, you know what?
Wonderful.
One thing about, before you go on, the meeting that Evan attended, when he came, like, he was bold in asking questions. He was like, I could tell that he really was checking this out because he really wanted to know if this thing was going to work for him. Like, I totally remember that meeting, dude. You were just like out there and you were just really bold, asking questions. Andy Albright was there. And I go, man, I like this guy because it's like you didn't care what other people thought about you and asking questions, but you were like, you really wanted to know. You wanted to check this thing out, like if it was real. And someone like you, I've always felt in recruiting that if we could convince someone like you that this is the real deal, then man, it's like all over. You're going to be all about it. And I think that's what happened.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to be bold in everything that you do. You know, I've always heard that. We've all heard it. Fortune favors the bold, right? And so you just can't really, to a certain degree, really care what other people are thinking about you. As long as you're doing something that has great intent that comes with it. So, I mean, you know, Ed reminds me all the time. He's like, oh man, when you came to that first meeting, a lot of us were in the back. We were like, oops, sorry, call's coming in. He said, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. He's like, oh man, we thought that Andy was going to be upset, you know, annoyed with you and this and that. Turns out Andy absolutely loved all the interaction that I
He did.
had with him, and he loved that level of enthusiasm and that ability to get outside of one's comfort zone to show, you know, a desire to succeed. And like I said, I still didn't really understand what I was getting into, but I knew that there was a level of energy and enthusiasm and success that I wanted to be a part of because I felt it, I saw it, and I was like, all right, this is my thing. I want to try this thing out. Here I am today.
So as you started learning this thing, like you had not done insurance before us, right?
No, I had never. No.
Now, I think I remember you had done sales before.
Yeah. I've done, I did timeshare sales.
Yeah, that's
when
right.
I lived out in California, I sold timeshares for Wyndham. I didn't do a very good job at it. I was there for about 6 months. But wasn't really something I was passionate about. I didn't see the value in it because I'm sitting there trying to tell somebody that they need to spend $25,000 on a timeshare. And I didn't really believe in it. I was like, I believe in vacationing, but I don't believe you have to spend $25,000 on a timeshare to go somewhere with your family.
So when you started this, you had to get your license and then you had to learn how to make dials, get leads. And at what point, like when you started encountering, you know, no-shows and not closing and people hanging up on you, you know, what kind of kept you moving forward, believing that this was going to work for you?
That's a great question, Alex. And the real easy answer for that is the reality that I saw so many other people that I personally felt that were no better than me succeeding and making
Yeah.
a lot of money. It's as simple as that. I mean, and it's not bad to look at someone and be like, "Oh, I'm as good as that guy. I'm as good as that girl. If she can do it, I can do it too for sure. There's no way she's making all that money or he's making all that money and I can't eventually get to that point too. Something's working. You know what I mean? So that was really it right there. I just saw a lot of people making a boatload of money.
Dude, you were just like me. I think that's why I liked you, because I remember our conversation at the back of the room, your first meeting. We had talked, you were asking me about this deal. And I'm almost like you, exactly. It's like all these people are like doing this. How can I not do this? I mean, I guess it's the mark of a good self-image or something. I don't know, but that's why I totally relate to you, because you felt the same way I did. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you started, so when did you start really hitting your stride? Was it like a couple months in, 3 months in? Like there's always a kind of a threshold you cross over where, okay, I'm starting to get this thing. Like how long
Yeah.
into it did you start getting there?
Well, Ed will tell you that he was fighting me the first 3 months because, I still had some baggage that I was carrying around
Sure,
with me. All
sure.
enthusiasm, confidence, and boldness aside, I came into this broke, disgusted, and busted. And in my mind, I had to battle the reality that I was dealing with. I need to make money right this second. And I got to do whatever I can to pay these bills and get this up to date, blah, blah, blah. So I started off not slow, but, like I was Ubering, to get immediate
Yeah.
cash to pay my cell phone bill and doing this along with that simultaneously with the goal of getting out of the Uber as fast as I possibly could. Um, and I was, I had invested in myself in the beginning, and Ed matched my investment. He helped me too. And they were a mixture of basically old and older leads. And he just said, this is what you do. I need you to make a lot of dials because the more you mess up, the more you get rejected, the faster you're going to get better and learn. And sure enough, I had a pretty successful first dial session. I think I made like 650 dials, maybe 700 dials. I made a lot of dials. I did go to work. I did actually put some time in on the phone. And I messed myself up, and I think I ended up booking like maybe 9 appointments. And I felt really good about that. I thought that was really good. And I went out to all those appointments, and about 8 of them were no-shows. And the last one that I went to, the 9th appointment, I sat down with them and I sold them. So I was like, okay, well, there's money coming in now. And
Okay. Yeah.
that was it, and he forewarned me. And I think a lot of people, they give up on themselves in the beginning because they either personally set themselves up with the inappropriate expectations or their manager gives them inappropriate expectations. And I tell people all the time as I recruit and bring people into the business, trust me when I tell you, the business does get sweeter with time. It does get sweeter with time.
Yep.
So
Well, that's cool, dude. So now you're starting to achieve success. You're starting to figure it out. At what point did you make the decision that, you know what, if I invest more in leads, I'm going to get more results? Did that happen early for you? Or because I've always found that, once an agent starts getting results, there's this like leap of faith where they say, okay, if I double my lead flow, double my investment, I should double my production. And while that makes sense logically, there's always this leap of faith, this hesitation, like, oh man, but I've never invested $500 in leads or whatever the amount is. Like, do you remember that kind of thought process when you wanted to make that decision?
yeah, I certainly do. It can be intimidating, certainly, especially if you're really low on money. It can be very intimidating because there is not a guarantee associated
Right.
with you spending money and you getting it back. Like Andy used to talk about how he would send $500 in the mail and they'd send him $1,000 back for sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. But here's the thing. If you have already spent 150 or $250 and you've experienced the reality that you book appointments when you talk to these people and you go sit with them, and on average, a portion of them are going to for sure buy from you. Well, if you put double the work ethic in and double the investment, you should have close to double the appointments booked and almost double the income. And it really does work like that. It doesn't work like that every week, every time, but over a, let's say, a month period of time, it all averages itself out. It's very, once you get the hang of things and you're willing to put in the extra work associated with your extra investment, because that's where people make a mistake. They're like, all right, well, it'll be a lot easier for me to make my money this time because I'll just spend the thousand. I'll work half as much and I'll make the money quicker. Maybe, but not really, actually. You need to double your work so that you can double your income with that
That's right.
doubled investment. So you have to put in the work too. And that's the key. It's the key formula. And you can't, there's no shortcut to work. It just doesn't work like
Absolutely.
that.
So you impress me as being someone who is very intent on maintaining a family life and being a father and husband. Like, how do you balance your schedule, working the business with being a daddy, being a husband to your lovely wife? What is your schedule to be able to do all those things that you want to do?
Great question, Alex. So let's go back like 3 years ago when Michelle and I first met, and she's already got the two boys, and I'm just working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And at some point she comes up to me and she's like, hey, listen, like, you're going to have to make some time for us. And you're like, huh, I guess if I want this relationship to work out, I do have to make that time for you. And that's the benefit of the business, is that you really can have the flexibility and freedom to create the schedule that works for you and your family. And so several years ago, we went back and together as a couple, we put in my schedule, and we designed 2 weekdays where I come home earlier and then I take a full day off on Sunday. And that works really well for us because it gives us the opportunity to really have some quality time during the week, to spend with one another, work with the kids on their homework, etc., and maybe do something and go out and grab something and do something that we may not do on the other 3 days. And then I dedicate a single day, which happens to be Sunday, which most people would usually do, to just only family, where I don't even take a phone call from a friend, let alone anybody for work. I just don't even look at my phone. It's not even going to happen. And when you do that, your working hours, you put all your heart, all your focus, and all your attention on doing as much as you possibly can to be as productive as possible, to generate as much income as possible, so that in the time when you're not working and you're with your family, you can put all your heart and energy on that. So you never have to feel guilty during either session. And that's what I've designed. And it's worked out really well for us. Now, recently, I have had to make adjustments because my 4-year-old is now starting preschool. And so with the way we only have one vehicle and buses don't really work that well through preschool. So I've readjusted my schedule because I can, to allow myself to be able to drop my 4-year-old off and pick him up and then go do what I have to do. So instead of recruiting later in the day, I recruit from 8 to 11, or yeah. So you just have to make it work. But as long as you have a discussion with your family and you carve it out like that, it actually makes it, you can get more work done in a shorter period of time, that I've noticed when everybody's on board with it. Mm-hmm.
I love that, because you're intentional. You just don't give your family the leftovers of your schedule. I would say you prioritize by putting them in your calendar and then working your business life around the family calendar, as opposed to what other people do, which is fit their family life whenever they can, keep making it a lower priority than going to work and making money. So again,
Yeah.
Rock on, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So your goals are, now you're building an agency. I'm, Ed and I, we talk all the time on the recruiting side because we're part of kind of the recruiting system that he helped us develop. So like your production goals every week, like how many appointments are you looking at doing every week? And then how many recruiting interviews are you shooting for? What are your particular business goals every week to accomplish activity
So
wise?
I still shoot for 20 appointments a week because 20 appointments is a good foundation to establish guaranteed sales and income. I mean, if you have 20 solid appointments, you're going to make money. I mean, it's just numbers. And if anybody's good at numbers, you're looking at him. I mean, it's Alex. I mean, he's the number king. So 20 appointments a week. I divvy that up between 3 days. Okay. And I always shoot for anywhere between 20 to 30 interviews a week as well.
That's great. And when you kind of put your habit in motion as far as your goals, where it's day after day, week after week, week after week, it becomes very predictable what the results that you get, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is very predictable.
And you've set this,
Especially once you consistently work the schedule you've created. Because if you get the same amount of leads and you have the same amount of interviews set up, you're going to have a predictable outcome. It's just, it's just math,
Okay, so I'm going to ask the nerdy question that most people always, all new people go, what's your lead mix, man? Like,
yeah.
what kind of leads are you ordering to put that together?
So for me personally, and this is just something that is going to differ from somebody that's completely brand new, because I have been in the business going on 4 years. I have over 1,000 clients in the books. So it's foolish for me not to work those current clients and those referrals. So I do add those to that, and I work them every week. And that is a decent contributor to the amount of sales that I make and the extra appointments that I make throughout the week. But outside of that, and what a new agent would work is a mixture of direct mail marketing leads, such as final expense, direct mail leads that we have, where they mail the letter, the postcard to the client, and they send it back. I found that's the most legitimately intentional lead you can get. And it's also the most expensive for good reason. Mail costs are expensive, and those people actually literally took the time to fill it out and send it back. So they can't, and you can show up at their house with their handwriting all over it and say, hey, I'm here to go over the information that you requested. And is this your handwriting? Right. But I also we've got a number of different lead sources, thankfully, because the integrity marketing system and what we've added to our organization over the years, we've got a number of different lead sources. So occasionally I'll do an instant purchase order of internet leads, lead performance team internet leads that I really like. Those are a little less expensive, and they're also localized, so you can work them locally. And then every so often I get broad and I take a statewide lead source is like a Google lead source that we use. They're new, they come in, there's a minimum purchase order of $500. They get 25, but they're good. I mean, they fill out their name, their birthday, their address, phone number, email, their beneficiary's name and the relationship to them, a code word, and the coverage amount desired. So those are the three main lead sources that I use if I'm not working a current client or a referral.
Yeah, that's cool. And gang, you earn the right to do that after you put the work in early. So think about what you're doing, compounding your lead investment, because what happens is these turn into clients that you can leverage in the future, that you're going to call on them again and offer them other things that we can do for them, in reviews, annuities, I mean, everything else, called client lifetime value. So, dude, you rock. I know you got to take off, with any last minute words of encouragement for the new people out there that are just trying to figure this thing out, and and the people that are been with us for a while, and anything that you can share with us that would, I don't know, help get them fired up.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, and I've heard this since the beginning when I started, 100% success rate for those that don't give up. Okay. Meaning if you hang in there and you remain coachable and you communicate with Alex and you lean into the calls and to the training, and you're really invested in being successful in this business, it really is impossible to fail. It's just too lucrative. It's too much of a necessary product and service that we provide to the world for you to be unsuccessful at the business. Have the proper expectations and know and expect to have challenges and obstacles in the beginning, and know that it only gets better with time. And the harder and more you can work and dial and make mistakes in the beginning, the faster you'll become an expert. It takes 10,000 times to do a single thing to technically, statistically become an expert at it. So the question is how fast do you want to become an expert at booking appointments, closing deals, bringing on new agents? Do more often and do it more consistently, because momentum's a real thing. If you we have flexibility and freedom in our business, and that's a blessing. But at the same time, you don't want to be changing up your schedule all the time and losing your focus and your persistency and doing the one thing that helps you make money. It's got to be consistent and persistent for you to obtain momentum. And then momentum's a real thing, and you get on a roll. I've taken a week vacation. I come back and I do lose that momentum. It takes me some time to get the wheels turning. And that's a real thing. So just don't give up on yourself. Lean in, stay consistent, and create a schedule that works for you and stick to it. Make adjustments along the way if you have to, but stick to that schedule, because all successful people that I've ever talked to, they have a legitimate schedule and calendar that they follow. They're not just flying by the seat of their pants. So that's about it.
Thank you, dude.
Well, I appreciate you.
HC manager of Patzer on the Soto team.
Hey, just hit recognize RM. We're going to qualify for it this month. So fired up.
Rock on, dude. Congratulations, bro. Man, I'm so proud of you, man.
Awesome, brother. I'm so grateful to be on the call. If you ever need me back on, just give me a holler.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate your time, man.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Wow.